Right.
Thanks, holidays.
Going to say go live. That's a completely different product, isn't it? But anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, welcome everybody. This is The Topic is Trek. We're just getting started. We'll have our recording. We're going to do our audio recording in just a moment. So
Hey,
this
everybody,
is
Riker jazz hands.
It's episode 128. That's 80 if you're counting in hex.
That's right. That's right.
Or what is that, about 100,000 in binary?
Oh my goodness, yes. That's
Yeah,
a very
we've
big
done a lot of shows.
Yeah, we didn't have enough namespace to use that as the title.
It's episode 10000.
I'll show you a Googleplex right there.
Don't get me started. Googleplex is actually a number that a friend of mine used in his circular number system.
Oh.
We'll talk about that.
Circular?
Circular number system.
Is that like a circular file? That's a
It's all based
wait
on
for you
the
to explain
square root of 42. All right. Are we ready to begin?
Yes,
ready to
might as
begin.
well, because you want to
How do you-
explain the circular number system.
I don't know the details well enough anymore, but I remember there were 3 numbers, or 2 of them were Zorch and Bleen.
Isn't that cereal? No, that's Quip and Quake. Never mind.
That was
That
the first
sounds like
season of
2.
Star Trek: The Next Generation. That
I was going to
Vanillas.
say it's old Klingon, if you know what I'm talking about.
I am Zork, and this is clean.
Well, when they were trying to get Uhura and Sulu to respond to the Klingon outpost, to
oh yeah.
Oh,
Doom Top Truck, Bleen.
quick, get me the dictionary, the book that we have, the
Paper book. See, we tied this back to Star Trek. Who knew a circular number system was involved? All right, then we are going to do the audio recording in. Nobody ever socialized this on Facebook, so we'll see if we get some viewers. In 3, 2, 1.
This is The Topic is Trek, episode 128 for December 9th, 2022. Coming up in this episode, where have all the conventions gone? We'll find out. Maybe, maybe not. Paramount takes to the sky. More on that. And lots of Prodigy on tap. All that and more right now on The Topic is Trek. Is Okona part of our ohana? Welcome to The Topic is Trek, the podcast that runs on impulse power. Join us for a journey where no show has gone before. If it has to do with Star Trek, there's a good chance we'll talk about it. Sooner or later, because on this show, the topic is Trek. Engage already. I want some Tranya after doing that bit on the video portion of the show. Oh, well, hello, everyone. I'm Clinton, one of your Topic is Trek co-hosts, and welcome to episode 128 of The Topic is Trek. Of course, to be a co-host, I have to have other hosts with me. So beaming in to join me, as always, with the hip new catchphrase that every kid on the block will be talking about when he goes down to the fishing hole tomorrow, Mr. Craig Stepp.
Still working on it.
Well, that's a truism. I'll definitely say that. And
Keep working on it.
That may be the best we get, folks. I don't know. That's not somebody else's.
You're right.
All right. Hello, everybody.
And also joining us is Mr. Chuck Tomasi.
Hey, how you doing?
Just wonderful, just wonderful. I lied when I said it's just wonderful. It's just standard response. I had one of my booster shots today and was feeling a bit under the weather for a
Dr.
while there.
Vega came by your house and
He did slap me in the face a couple of times, and it was fine after that.
gave you a shot and left. Here's your hypo spray.
But I'm powered by caffeine now and ready to go.
Caffeine. It's kind of late at night for
I thought
caffeine.
Dr. Ta'ana was going to give him a shot.
Yeah. Have your beep booster.
Keep your pants on. You shoot him in the arm.
That leg will grow back anyway. All right. Well, before we begin anything else, I want to give a couple of shout out congratulations to some people in the Star Trek universe. Congratulations to Michelle Yeoh for being named Time Magazine's Icon of the Year.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Pretty darn cool. And you can see her. You can
She's
watch
actually
her.
been very busy.
Oh, extremely. You're just seeing her entire, budget for the Section 31 show just going higher and higher and higher if they want to hire her to do it. Because she's I forget what the next she's going to be next up in The Witcher, season 3 of The Witcher, and she is in the front running for an Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So interesting times for Michelle, and rightly deserved, by the way, for that. And also, congrats to Anthony Rapp and his longtime partner Ken on the arrival of their first child. So here's two Christmas nights for you guys.
Here, we'll do this one.
Yeah, that's what they'll hear at 3 a.m.
That's the baby monitor going off. What is that all about? I don't know.
Meanwhile, in the nursery.
That's right. No, that's fantastic.
Yeah, you're all excited until that third night of no sleep, and then you start to go,
What did we get ourselves into?
I know.
But all that said, speaking of children and petulant children at that, it's time to get the okay from Charlie for Subspace Chatter.
The eternal optimist, even after we take a few weeks off.
I am. Well, it's the caffeine talking.
Chatter.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Charlie.
So Charlie's a big no-go on that. So check
on we go.
It's par for the course.
At the end of May, Paramount and co-runner Massive Events canceled the Destination Star Trek London convention set for September. That left only one official European Trek convention, Destiny Star Trek Germany. After that con was over, Massive Events was out of the Star Trek con business. Now, just 6 months ahead of Mission Seattle, Paramount and co-runner ReedPop have decided to cancel the official Trek convention, which had been set for late May 2023. That leaves Star Trek The Cruise 6 as the only official Trek convention currently scheduled for 2023 anywhere. Wait, we have to do this with feeling.
Oh, no.
Anywhere in the world.
And 2/3 of the hosts of this show will be there.
Indeed.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's frankly amazing.
I know.
The whole con scene dried up.
Yeah. Well, Craig has a bit more on that.
Yeah.
Did you say
So
Ron and Craig in the same sentence.
that's right. So website trekmovie.com did confirm that ReedPop still holds the license for the Star Trek conventions in the U.S., but no one seems to know when, where, who, how, and when, or I say when twice.
You did. It's a lot of when.
Whether a new convention will be held. Meanwhile, the former runner of the official Trek convention, Creation Entertainment, has over 100 guests lined up for next year's 57-year mission, the unofficial TrekCon. Well, how about that? 100 guests. Wow.
Yeah. So what the heck is happening here?
We're gonna funnel them all onto that cruise ship. I've
Yeah.
got nowhere else to make a few
The
bucks
ship will be
signing
like
pictures.
leaning off to the side. Everybody get on the one side. Yeah.
Come on, that's what the lifeboats are for. We can get some more people in there.
Yeah.
So Trek is clearly in the middle of a resurgence. So why is Paramount canceling conventions? Conventions run by companies with proven track records in the fan con business. I mean, these are not upstarts. Frankly, we don't know. They have not really been forthcoming about any of this stuff. But Chad Porto over at the Red Shirts Always Die website has a theory. Now, take this for what you might think, but they speculate that the cancellation of the next Star Trek movie may have taken away Mission Seattle's main selling point.
Ooh.
They think that Paramount saw Mission Seattle as a way to introduce the cast of Star Trek 4 to the general public. That would certainly generate media buzz, but with the movie on hold, Paramount pulled the plug before tickets went on sale for Seattle. Whether or not you think that theory makes sense, with little else to go on, it's as good a guess as any as to why these cancellations are happening. I can't explain it. I mean, everything is just, and clearly we've got lots of Trek. We've got lots of people watching Trek. We've got Trek now, as we'll talk about later, appearing in more markets around the world. So the idea of the one in Germany and London being, I don't know if it's somebody at Paramount just dropping the ball and something's going wrong internally there, but it's weird.
They were hit by all the staffing cuts like everybody else, like the tech industry is, and they lost their events coordinator.
Yeah. Or
Well,
anything's possible at this point.
All the ensigns are quiet quitting.
Yeah, in the links, it's not a story we're covering, but in the links, there are layoffs going on, taking place at CBS and at Paramount. It's the same kind of thing though that you're getting at Netflix and all the other places that, they okay, now we're going to have to dial this back a little bit. And especially with Paramount, because they merged so many different companies together.
I thought you could say so many different times.
Yeah, no.
Well,
that is true too. But you've got redundancies, and so they're letting some of those people go first. But there's other stuff going on, like they're cutting back on Showtime. Showtime is still going to be a thing for Paramount, but apparently it's not going to be quite the same Showtime that it was before.
Yeah.
So there definitely are cuts happening, and if they had by mistake get rid of the events coordinator, well, lots of people being laid off.
Sounds like Elon Musk is running the place. Oh,
exactly.
wait, hire him back.
All right, well, let's move on with that thought in mind. Craig, you've got a bit on the next story here, which I find interesting too.
All right, so ScreenRant.com just ran an article documenting every time the Star Trek franchise has brought back the classic TOS Constitution class bridge. This doesn't include the Strange New Worlds bridge, since it isn't exactly a copy. It's slightly different and updated. It may seem more, but we've only seen that iconic bridge 5 times in the last 54 years. Okay. So 1, we have Relics. That was the TNG episode from 92. 2, we have the Trials and Tribulations episode from DS9 in 1996. Excellent episode. 3, the 2-part In a Mirror Darkly, a story of the Enterprise show in 2005. And 4 and 5, the 2 variations of the bridge in this year's All the World's a Stage episode of Prodigy. And the bridge appears once as a replica in the planet's surface and once as a holographic overlay on the bridge of the Protostar. And you can also include the bridge of the Star Trek animated series, but we think that's more of a continuation of the original rather than a tribute to it.
I was I wrong in thinking I felt like there were more times?
I thought so too. But once I read this list here, I'm like,
that's it.
I can't think of anything else. So
right.
I guess not. Yeah.
That's like asking, someone who's exaggerating to okay, when did that happen? Well, there was this time.
Yeah.
That one other time
that I can't quite name right now, but yeah, it was a thing.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. I did love Relics and of course the Trials and Tribulations. I thought those were 2 very good examples of it bringing it back. I like the Relics because you had Scotty sitting there just chatting for a moment. It's like they took the story and stopped for a minute. Let's have a chat with Picard, and have a drink with something green. And then, anyway, I just thought that was really cool.
The scene with Scotty on the bridge made me think of like when you go to a convention and you're happy and everyone's having a good time, and then you go to that same hotel or conference hall for something else, and it's just not the same, especially if it's like during the off season, like when somebody goes to the Marriott in Atlanta and it's not Dragon Con.
Oh, I got to tell you, because we always stay an extra day at the end. And Tuesday, the places are deserted. The habit trails are completely empty. It's just this weird feeling like, no, really, there was a giant convention here yesterday.
Yeah.
But that's weird. When you realize it's all about the people. The venue is just this shell. And that's kind of what I got when he was sitting on the bridge. It's like, it's not the same without your coworkers, your friends hanging
or the 40 other 50,000 people that that should have been there too.
Cameraman,
Yeah.
the producer.
Yeah.
And
I've
that
been
guy
to-
is wearing a red shirt, and it's not going to be good
Yeah.
for him.
I've certainly
When
been
they-
to Atlanta off Dragon Con season, and it's like walking through there. It's like, whoa, it's weird. It's like a ghost town. So
Even though it's probably plenty busy for a downtown area, it's just
Yeah.
empty.
right, it's like, hey, I can walk across the Sky Bridge and not run into traffic.
When I see the episode In a Mirror Darkly, it reminds me of when we did the like one of the final tours of the Enterprise, the Star Trek Experience in Vegas back in 2008.
Raise the glass.
April
Experience.
was giving us
Solidarity.
the tour, and there were all the showcases with the actual film props and whatnot. And they said, "Here's Zephram Cochrane's coat,"
Yeah,
and
that's right.
they actually had to remove it only once to go film that episode.
Oh, right.
So they took the same coat out of that showcase, filmed that episode or those episodes, and then brought it back. And I had it right on the tip of my tongue because I just watched the episode like a week before going to Vegas. I was like, yes, In a Mirror Darkly. Like I know every episode inside.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I have trouble remembering the names of the 4 we're going to be covering today.
I know. Well, that's because they're brand new.
True,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to cover a story now that has to do with Paramount Plus, but I thought a lot of other shows don't really talk about the business end of things and how the service is doing. And so I like to get those behind the scenes things as well and what's things happening internationally and so forth. So bear with us if you're not quite into this type of thing, but this does concern Star Trek. While Paramount Plus continues to roll out in most of Europe's bigger markets, Paramount Global has another strategy when it comes to the rest of the continent. They've partnered with Comcast for a joint venture called Sky Showtime. The service features a selection of content from both Paramount and NBC Universal. Offers include movies like Jurassic World, Dominion, The Godfather trilogy, Jaws, the Back to the Future trilogy, and Top Gun Maverick, and shows such as The Office, Halo, Billions, and NCIS. Now, before you get too jealous, there are some drawbacks for Trek fans. Sky Showtime only includes a limited amount of Star Trek content. It has the first season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds and the first half of season 1 of Star Trek Prodigy. However, Sky Showtime is not currently adding episodes from the second half of Prodigy as they premiere here in the US. This could mean they'll be added once the season wraps in December, but we're not sure.
Interesting.
And Craig?
There's a lot of things we're not sure about on this show.
Yeah, but we're sure about that fact anyway.
That's
We're
right.
not sure.
Well, Sky Showtime is also launching with a limited amount of legacy Star Trek content, including all 7 seasons of TNG and just 4 of the Trek movies, Nemesis and 3 Kelvin era Trek films. Sky Showtime doesn't currently offer Star Trek Discovery, and we don't know if or when that will change. Lower Decks and Picard are available on Amazon Prime Video throughout Europe. So it looks like Sky Showtime is priced at $6.99 in countries that use the euro. So it's €6.99, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That converts to around converts to around $7.24 in the US. We couldn't tell if the service was ad supported, but that's kind of the theme nowadays. A lot of these streaming services start adding
Right,
ads.
which I get a kick out of, because we remember back when Paramount Plus as CBS All Access premiered, and you had the 2 tiers, and everyone was berating the commercial plan. And now all of a sudden, Disney's going to have one, Netflix is going to have one.
About it. Yep. Hulu's had it forever.
Right. So who's laughing now?
Yeah.
Sky Showtime is already available in Denmark, Finland, Norway, Sweden, the Netherlands, and Portugal. It will launch on December 14th in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Croatia, Kosovo, Montenegro, Serbia, and Slovenia. It will then expand into Albania, the Czech Republic, Hungary, North Macedonia, Poland, Romania, and Slovakia in February of 2023, with launches in Spain and the micronation of Andorra also set for early 2023. And this kind of gives you the picture of, we think of Star Trek as domestic, and yeah, they showed other places. This shows you with deals like this, the reach. Granted, they've got a limited amount of shows, but the reach that Star Trek can have around the world with new episodes of things. So I'm really hoping Showtime, Sky Showtime, expands what they're showing for Trek. Internationally, Paramount Plus is currently available in the UK, Ireland, and Italy. It launched on December 1st in France and will launch in Germany, Switzerland, and Austria on December 8th. Oh, that already happened. So welcome to Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. Interesting enough, as part of the Sky Showtime launch, Paramount Plus subscribers in the Nordics, including Denmark, Finland, Norway, and Sweden, were converted to Sky Showtime subscribers from being a Paramount Plus subscriber, meaning they actually lost access to Trek content.
Don't make your Nordic people mad in the winter.
No, because they got nothing else to do.
Right.
It seems I understand that streaming rights are different for a lot of different places and laws, and then you got like Comcast has, so we're talking about here has, I'm sorry, like a probably
Well,
like some kind of oversight, not oversight. That's not the right word. Anyway, so there's a lot of different access to worry about. It's funny that they just can't say, here, let's make Paramount Plus available here, or Peacock, or
I think the silent partner of this is Sky. And so they're not really.
Oh, I thought I said Comcast earlier, but yeah, you're right.
Well, no, it is Comcast, but I'm saying because it's Sky Showtime. So I'm imagining Sky Network is involved in this because they do a lot of the programming, the satellite,
No, I'm just saying it seems weird that they just don't. Hey, let's make Paramount Plus available here.
Well,
instead of making a new brand.
Yeah, I think that it's a case of they're trying to leverage cost of rollout, and some places they may say it's not worth it to us solo, but Comcast, if you want to partner with us, we think we can make this work. And I do not think that the partnership will last forever. I mean, it's the same thing. Look what happened to Hulu. Hulu was a partnership between ABC, NBC, the CW, and I don't think ABC was involved, but maybe they were. Maybe they were involved. Right, and Fox. So, people started backing even before the merger between Disney and Fox. There was lots of, I'm not sure this is really worth it to us, and some of the networks started pulling this stuff. So I think that this is a stopgap.
Is that the same Sky that is like the broadcast company in the UK?
Yeah. That's
okay.
Right. So I think, I think Rupert Murdoch is involved with Sky, right? So it's really kind of a little bit of everything going on there with this thing. So I imagine they're using the systems set up for this. But it does show that they are rolling out internationally. I just really wish, that the offerings that they have for Trek movies, it's like, wow, what happened to the rights on those? You've got 4 movies, Nemesis and the Kelvinverse. That's it.
Yeah. So much for all Star Trek under one roof.
Well, speaking of that, I was doing something, scrolling through the stuff on Paramount Plus, and how we talked about the fact that all the movies except for 2 of them were gone.
Yes.
Because they went to other places. Star Trek 2009 and Into Darkness are listed. Watch them before they leave. So the last 2 that are there, may be leaving as well
on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
What does that leave us with?
It leaves us with all the series.
Oh, the series. Where'd all the movies?
It's just that there's a lot of between the movie rights and streaming rights and all that stuff that's been pre-agreed on. That's why they come and go from all these different services.
Yeah, because some of the other ones on there was watching before they go are the indie trilogy. But no, well, 4 movies? 4 movies, because they have the first 4, and so my guess is they've made some sort of deal with Disney. Now that you've got the 5th Indiana Jones movie coming out, say, well, we'll give you the streaming rights for Indiana Jones, but you've got to give us those other things.
You know what? We showed them. We watched it way before it's leaving.
That's right. When it first came out to the theater.
This is sounding like a game in Monopoly. I'll trade you the B&O and Reading Railroad for Ventnor.
All right,
For
well, Chuck,
Indiana place.
why don't you take us to our next story, Chuck?
All right. Well, it seems like we've been covering the ups and downs of the potential fourth movie in the Kelvin timeline for years. Yes, that's what it seems like, because we have.
Yeah.
Recently, we even talked about the interview with screenplay authors J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, where they outlined their script for Star Trek IV. It would have seen Chris Pine's Captain Kirk reunited with his father, George, played by Chris Hemsworth. At this point, we don't know if that'll ever happen. Again, we don't. There's a lot of things on this show we don't know. We should have titled this one, We Don't Know.
We don't.
Yeah.
Some
Kind of.
But
Some kind of movie.
In an appearance on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, which sounds like it could be us, Hemsworth gave us a tiny peek into the reason things didn't work out. Speaking about the story idea with the podcast host, Josh Horowitz, Hemsworth said, "It wasn't what I was thinking it would have been, or could have been." Okay, cool. Let's figure that out and keep going. And then I think everyone got busy and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Hemsworth added that he's not even sure why the story makes sense now, since he's 15 years older than when he first played George Kirk. It would be weird now to flash back to your father and why he's so much older than he is the first time when he died. Well, that's how dreams go, I think.
A good point.
However, all that said, Hemsworth may still be in the mix. In a June interview with Vanity Fair, the actor said, "If J.J. Abrams called me tomorrow and said, 'Chris Pine, and I want you to do it.'" Sorry, that was a little too James T.
That's very Shatnerish of that.
Yeah, I know. We want you to do it.
I'd probably say, "Yeah, let's go for it."
Yeah,
So
I think you'd also have to wonder why George Kirk got so bulked up since he died.
Why is he holding that hammer?
I want to see him as a fat Thor.
Yeah. Right.
So we've got a link here to the article
Fat George.
and the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast where Horowitz and Hemsworth discuss Trek. And Clinton is rapidly typing in that he's taking the next article.
I am.
Over to you, Clinton.
The sausage is made. If you happen to find yourself in Lisbon, Ohio over the next few days, why not check out the Stage Left Players presentation of A Star Trek Christmas? Set in the era of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, this comedy appears to involve a plot by the Klingons to kidnap Santa Claus.
Oh, boy.
We have a link to
I'm thinking this is like a mystery science theater movie, Santa versus the Martians or something.
Well, it's very interesting looking from the little clips that they've got.
Was this one of those failed attempts from Roddenberry where, with JFK or Santa Claus or
fans wrote in 1972 with this storyline.
Larry Nemechek said, "Look, we've got the scrap of paper that's all crossed out," and they kind of digitally figured out what it said underneath
From
it.
the files of Gene Roddenberry comes
Santa Claus? No, JFK.
No, I think it's a Santa Claus. Yeah. All right, but you can find the link to the player's website as well as a link to the trailer for this thing in episode 128 is Okona, part of Ohana, over at thetopicistrek.com.
I'm gonna look right now. Oh wait, I got something.
You've got the story to read.
That's right. So nominations have been announced by the Critics' Choice Association in the television categories, and Star Trek: Lower Decks was nominated for the Best Animated Series.
Woo-hoo.
The other nominees in the category are Bluey, don't know about that. Bob's Burgers, I do know that, and Gedney Tartakovsky Primal, and Harley Quinn, and Undone, which I'm not familiar with that one either. This is the first Trek in the Critics' Choice Television Award, which began in 2011, so it's 11 years old now. Both the television and the Movie Critics' Choice Awards will be broadcast live on the CW on Sunday, January 15th, 2023.
Wow. There's some impressive names in there. I mean, Gendy has been around for a while, dude. Things like Dexter's Lab.
Oh my gosh. I love that guy.
Yeah.
He
He's
did
put out
tons
a
of
bunch of
stuff on Cartoon Network.
Right. Some serious going on there. So to have Lower
Samurai
Decks
Jack.
right up there right now, like,
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because so this would be probably for the third season. So that's also interesting that you've got a show that comes in and it's not even its first time out of the gate, and it's up for one of these things as its first time ever to be in that category. So I thought that was pretty neat.
yeah, definitely.
All right, that's a lot we covered in this episode, but we have links to 82 additional stories.
In case you're suffering from insomnia or something.
You know what? You can tell that there's a resurgence in Star Trek because if you look at the number of extra links that we've had each week or each time we record, it's gone from like 3 to now it's 82.
Well, this is also 4 weeks worth of backlog too.
Right.
But
Good
also,
point.
one of the things that I noticed was there seems to have been in the past couple of weeks a big increase in the number of articles about Prodigy. Like people are finally,
Yes.
noticing that it's there. Oh, we have a note here from a couple of notes here from listener Diane. I've not been paying attention here. Do we have something?
The first one was when we said when people remember how many times the TOS bridge has appeared on TV. She said, "I think it's because we see it so many times in parodies."
True enough.
Yep.
And then, having lived and worked in Europe for 10 years, I can tell you that broadcast rights and cable licenses are often controlled by governments as well as companies. Interesting.
Yeah.
You are watching State TV. Good night.
Hey, by the way,
Muslim Squirrel.
referring to how many times about the parody that she mentioned, the first thing that comes into mind is SNL. They did that several times.
Right.
They've had the original bridge on there.
I think they probably just have one, in the back. They can
You just wheel it out.
They unfold it and tape it together.
It's NBC. They might have it.
Yeah. That's right.
All right.
82.
So now comes my favorite part of the show, where I get to say, goodbye, Charlie.
I want to stay.
Not on my watch. Oh, my goodness.
Sorry.
Wow. Wow. That was called for. I mean, wait a minute, what?
Sorry, Charlie. There's no vacancy on the Enterprise.
So let's come back from Subspace Chatter with an appropriate sound effect. Good enough.
Land course.
Now we need another appropriate sound effect for our main mission. All right, Eric's.
Thanks.
Fair enough.
Really inspiring there, buddy.
So talk about marathons. No one's talking about marathons. That's the horrible segue. We've got 4 episodes of Prodigy to get through. 4 episodes. It's just barreling along. Exactly. And so what we're going to do is we're going to, rather than our traditional, meaning the last couple of episodes, point where we kind of outline the first half of the episode and then we talk about the episode overall. To help with our memory, it's going to be a brief mission briefing that talks about the entire episode. So there definitely will be spoilers in here for everything, including the episode that aired this week. All right, so we're going to start off with Crossroads.
All right.
Now, here's our mission briefing on this one. Aboard the Dauntless, the Diviner's memory is still in shreds, but Ensign Essentia helps with Ensign Essenzia's, that's hard to say. Ensign Essenzia's help, how does Janeway do it? He is making progress.
Caffeine.
Yeah, I should have some more. The Dauntless sets course for the planet Denaxi, right? Denaxi, that's it. To locate Lieutenant Barris Frex, an eyewitness to the Protostar's attack on the Federation relay station. Unfortunately, the Protostar has already arrived at Denaxi with a plan to keep everyone safe. The crew buries the Protostar under a triggered avalanche, then heads to Denaxi Station, trying to find an alternative way to travel to Starfleet to warn them about the living construct. They team up with Thaddeus Okona, Thaddean, why does it have to be a Thaddean Okona, but then run into the Dauntless landing party and must flee the planet by retrieving the protostar. The two ships reach the edge of the Romulan neutral zone just as Murph emerges from its cocoon. The Dauntless disables the protostar's third nacelle, but the ship is still able to enter the zone. The Dauntless remains at the border, facing down 3 Romulan warbirds. So I don't know about you guys, but I was not expecting the crew of the Dauntless and the crew of the Protostar to cross paths so quickly in the series.
Right.
It feels like so quickly in the series.
Or I would say closely. They were actually
Face to
standing
face.
with one another
Yeah.
at some points. So they were the main problem I had with this was they were standing so closely.
Mhm.
Is that Dow could actually have explained what was going on to Janeway without, and well, of course, this season would be over.
Yeah. Well, we also have Jankum. He runs into Dr. Noum, who is
Mhm.
being a complete Tellarite, I think above and beyond the call of duty and insulting
Oh, yeah.
Jankum.
Mhm.
So you get Jankum start to say why he's there because he realizes that that the doctor is from Starfleet. He goes, "Oh, I want to tell you about." Hey, wait a minute! And then he starts going off on this other thing about being insulted, and
Yeah.
so he doesn't get around to it. And then Dahl is being encouraged by Janeway to, out with it. To, what is it you want to say? And that's when all of a sudden he sees, Barnish Frex coming along, and he gets out of there. So I think that they tried to indicate that they were really close to being able to do it, but as Rock Talk said, you guys all talked to Starfleet and no one told them about the thing on the ship.
Yeah.
Right. Because you were right there. You were face to face. You didn't have to risk anything. But
It's almost,
would they have believed
mhm.
a bunch of kids?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Later on we find out in another episode, Janeway's starting to piece it all kind of together.
Well, she does, and she goes, "Wait a minute, they're just kids."
Mhm.
And
Actually,
so,
there was several times in this I'm like, why don't they just write her a note?
well, you'll see in
Well, they
the
weren't
in the
expected
latest
to run
episode,
into
in episode 17, they tried sending a message in Morse code with phasers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
life would have been so much better, I think.
That's like shooting a gun at someone's feet. Bang, 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 bang. Did you get my message?
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
I said SOS, but you're sorry about
it
your
said
foot.
dance clearly.
Dance. Yeah, I was like, phasers. Why don't they just shoot a flashlight? I don't know. I just a couple times I'm like, why don't they just write down a note and send out a little clear tube, across
A message in a bottle type of thing.
Yeah. So, oh well.
Well, to your point, then the show would be over.
Yeah, the credits start rolling. That's it.
You can't really do that. I was also surprised to see Zindi show up. We got reptilian Zindi.
Yes,
in this
several
episode.
times. Yep.
And I was, at first I thought, when did Zindi become part of the Federation? That seems a little too soon for that after having an entire war. But then I realized, well, they're not. They're security at this station, and they're responding to Janeway's request to lock off the station, but they didn't necessarily have to do it.
Yeah.
And I had a question. We have implied violence sometimes on the show, and sometimes it's rather outright, and sometimes it's weirdly shown. But did Rock Talk kill one of the Zindis when she threw the box out of the ship, and then suddenly it out of the skiff, and when the speeders like exploded?
I would think so. Yeah, I'm trying to remember back on that exactly, but yeah, could have been because
typically you would have one of those things like in a PG movie. You then have the person get up and kind of be all woozy.
They land on their face and they look up. At the like what happened. Yeah, I don't know. Probably More than likely.
We're going to pause for a second here because Chuck has dropped out of the show here.
He fell off the ether.
He says, "Looks like I lost connections." I'm not sure if he's be able to get back
Well,
in. So
jump back in.
we will carry on while we wait for.
Hey,
Chuck
obviously,
to
he didn't
return.
lose 100% connection. He sent us a message.
That's true. Yes, I sent you a message saying I have no internet. Wait a minute. What?
Why doesn't he just send us a written message in a bottle?
Why not? Because then the show would be over at that point.
That's right.
I have a couple of memorable lines from this one. This one,
Uh-huh.
I have the most notes about this one, which kind of surprised me. But when they get to the edge of the neutral zone and they're going to go in, and Jayway says, "No, we can't do that." And Jenkinpog says, "What's the big deal? It's neutral. It's right there in the name."
Yeah, that's right.
And I've thought about that. And I forget whether we mentioned it or not, but the Romulans always go right up to the edge of the neutral zone.
Yeah.
Whereas the Federation state, so it's like, well, why not have it be a neutral line? Because clearly,
don't cross this line. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it does seem like they always approach the edge of, I mean, I think they always kind of push boundaries a little bit. Even in previous Star Trek series, they did that.
yeah,
It seems to me they did.
so I think they got the better end of the deal in those negotiations to set up the neutral zone. It's like,
Yeah.
it's mostly ours, but we're going to call it a zone.
A zone. That's right.
And I asked Bonnie this question.
Mm-hmm.
I said,
Who's Bonnie?
Yeah,
For
my
those
wife
that don't-
Bonnie.
Yeah.
I said, "Is Murph's new form cute?" So before I get her answer for it, what did you think of morphosized Murph, your transfigured Murph?
The new one that's walking around on legs and arms.
Yes, yes.
I think I actually like it a little bit better. Now that I'm starting to get used to it, and you've seen a couple episodes now, so yeah, I think so. Rather than just being a big kind of slime ball.
Yeah, she said that she thought cute. She seemed cuter, but definitely was cute. So,
what was the what was on the Jetsons? What was that? What was that little fuzzy thing's name?
Yes, I've mentioned
Not Astro, of course, but I can't remember what it. That's what Murph reminds me of. Not Astro.
Yeah.
I keep.
but I know what you mean. It's got it's. I forget it was an alien. Well, alien's kind of redundant on the Jetsons, I suppose, but
that's right. Not shopping Google. I was going to try to pull up.
So Chuck, while Craig is looking that up, your opinion is new Murph cute?
I think so. I'd say yes. I mean, cuter than the old slug Murph.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Was it a plus?
Yeah, I mean they gave Murph bigger eyes to give it that cute factor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about that little floating blob above the head and what that's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, little halo. Or it was Orbity who from the Jetsons. They had like kind of spring, like that's what Murph reminds me of a little bit because of the big eyes and stuff.
Not quite as fuzzy, but still.
Yeah.
We'll have
lovable.
Kind of fuzzy creatures in a little while on the show.
Yeah, but I do kind of like the. What about you, Clinton?
I don't like the new Murph. I feel like I've had problems with the arms and the legs being so disproportionate to the body. It just didn't strike me as an upgrade, if you will. It felt like if that had been the original version of Murph, I really wouldn't have liked it. And the fact that you go from something that's kind of cute to something that now we don't know.
This could be an intermediary stage to something else. I mean, we may go through 3, 4, or 5 of these things over the course of the show.
Yeah. And you would think the Federation would have some, since they use it as a slur in Star Trek that they know what the
Yeah.
stages are of this, you know, the
Well,
cyborg.
and I haven't really given it a whole lot of thought until you actually asked me. But I remember thinking, oh, the new Mirth's kind of cute before you even asked. And so when you asked me, I don't really. I'm a little bit on, ambivalent. I'm not really sure. I got a strong opinion, but it's all right.
Okay. And do you guys feel like me that they seem to lean really heavy into Star Wars and that first approach to Denoxy Station and their encounter with
That's no moon.
Okona? That it's like, oh, this is the
Oh,
place where you
okay.
kind of these villains, and he's kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, you need
Yeah.
passage and blah 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 blah.
Yep.
Well, I'll
Yep.
tell you, just as a side note, on the Star Wars series that we've been seeing, like Andor and all that, when they have these uh, real people in real places that are not Jedi, or they're not, they're actually people living under the thumb of the Empire, kind of thing.
Hmm.
I think it's kind of cool to see real people in the Star Trek universe, because 9 times out of 10 we're seeing somebody that's in Starfleet, they're on a nice clean ship somewhere, and actually seeing, well, we've seen this in Discovery a little bit when they went to Klingon, or Kronos, and I think another planet. Oh, in Lower Decks when they went to Orion.
Listener Diane says, I think of him as the Groot of Star Trek. That's a good way to
Bingo.
put it.
Bingo.
That's a good way to put it.
Indeed,
I
indeed.
am Murph.
What he said.
But hey, I do like seeing real people that are living outside of the norm, that we normally see.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. If it had been an hour episode, we probably would have seen more of just day to day stuff going on in the station. It
Mhm.
kind of moved rather quickly through there.
Yeah.
For purposes of time.
Then, of course, we'll get into a little bit more, but then you got Thad in.
Right. So let's give a rating on Crossroads, and
6 million.
no, stop that. And it's going to be on Reptilian Zindi, 1 to 10 Reptilian Zindis.
Oh,
So I will start with Chuck since he's back with us again.
Yeah, I had like an internet brownout for a little while.
rolling brownouts on the internet.
It wasn't completely dead, but it was mostly dead, not enough to hold up the live stream. So we're gonna have to do something interesting and get the audio to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
1 to 10 Zindi. I'm gonna give this one a 7. Yeah, I thought it was fascinating. Moved the story along. There, like you said, they came face to face with Janeway, and couldn't spit it out. Came face to face with the Doctor, couldn't spit it out. It's like, well, just. And then Murph finally, puts a fine point to it. Like, what happened? So it was a little frustrating in that aspect. They conveniently parked underneath an avalanche-prone area. Was a little suspicious.
And they can control those avalanches really well.
We'll just it avalanches right next to them and buries the ship. Well, that takes care of that. And you could always fly a ship out of an avalanche, because it only sets like concrete. So,
Yeah.
right. There were a few suspicious things, but overall, not bad.
All right. I think I'm gonna go the same. I found it a very serviceable episode.
Yep.
I felt like, though, to me, that meeting of the two crews, it just to me felt early. It came too early in a run we know is going to be at least 40 episodes. Now, how much of the story in season 2 might be a different thing, I don't know, but it just almost was like a season ender of having that reach that point. And it was very rushed through for the reasons we've talked about. So it was a good episode and it sets up some things, but I wouldn't call it an outstanding episode. And what about you, Craig?
I'm gonna kind of go in the same direction. I'm gonna say 7 also. However, there was some problems I had with it. One, like we said, they were walking away from the ship, like they were going to leave it there was a reason why they were putting it in the ice.
No
They were
one
gonna
would
walk
find
away
it.
from.
Yep.
Yeah, they were going to walk away from it, and then they ended up 2 minutes later going right back looking for it. To get back into it.
How long was they out?
Yeah, yeah. Whoa! Maybe we should.
Your coffee's not cold yet, Jane. Really?
Yeah.
Is that a clue?
Yeah. And like you said, each crew met each other. I don't know if it's too early because there is only in this season, there's 20 episodes. So I think it's about right, but they could have explained some things. It just seemed to maybe that's the reason why it seems like they met each other too early, because they could have explained it right there and at least started the resolution part of it. Anyway, so I'm gonna go 7. I thought it was pretty good again, and I like the social aspect of Star Trek outside of the normal stuff we normally see.
And we get the Voyager theme.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
you did.
episode. All right, so let's move on to our next episode, Masquerade. You want to take this one, Chuck?
Sure. Dal has grown jealous of Okona, specifically because it's something that's not being helped by him being able to suggest a starport, Noble Isle, as a place for the protostar to visit and get repaired. Once at the planet, the away team uses a space elevator to reach the city on the surface to look for parts. They also accompany Okona as he visits one of his clients, Dr. Jago. Well, Jago is a geneticist specializing in cutting-edge scientific experimentation. And as they explain, that's usually why it's banned.
Mm-hmm.
So Jago is able to identify Dal as the handiwork of proteges of, yes, we're bringing the Sung family back into the picture once again. Dr. Eric Sung, created through the process called artificial hybrid speciation. It turns out that Dal has an element in him, plus the recessive traits of 26 species, including, among others, Vulcan, Proto-Organian, Klingon, Tellarite, and Andorian. Despite cautions from the others, Dal secretly agrees to let Jago activate the traits, giving him abilities associated with each species. Elsewhere on the ship, meanwhile, back on the ship, via subspace transmission, Admiral Jellicoe, we bring Jellicoe back.
Yeah.
And he's as surly as ever.
Cheerful.
He was dead. Bring him back.
He's even surly on Twitter.
Yeah, that's right.
He orders Vice Admiral Janeway to stay out of the neutral zone. Peace negotiations with the Romulans are going well, and an incursion could derail the talks. Oh, we're having peace negotiations again. He does tell Janeway that if the Romulans attempt to steal the protostar, blow it up. Get rid of it. Well, Romulan Tal Shiar agents do attempt to steal the protostar, but find they need the ship's captain to unlock its controls. While Okona slinks away, Dal and Murph are able to fight off the agents as the elevator cars they are traveling in head skyward towards the protostar. With her intel limited, Janeway fires on the protostar. However, once it is clear that the crew has escaped the Romulans, she orders the torpedoes diverted. The close call forces Ensign Essentia to reveal her true nature to the Diviner.
And our big reveal of the episode. I had seen interviews with the actress, and she hinted that there was more for Essentia to do later on in the season. So I don't think I had already missed up to that point that she would have these little asides, a little kind of, why is she so intent on helping the diviner type of thing? And
right, sneaking into his quarters. Like, hey, time for your therapy session again.
I'm sorry, it's an appropriate time. Inappropriate.
So I didn't. It wasn't as big of a shock as it might have been, but it was still. I think was also interesting to note that you can make Dreadnought into a coffee table if need be.
So, are we going to come up with now Dreadnought coffee table books?
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Guess what's available on StarTrek.com? Yeah,
just fold it out. There you go.
Yeah.
He's now a transformer. Not a good one, but he's a transformer.
Not very useful to be transforming into a coffee table.
Was that the Diviner's Dreadnought, or was that
No.
Essentia's Dreadnought?
She
Everybody had one.
the what is it? They
The
say the nickname,
Vindicator.
the Vindicator. She said that everyone left with their own dreadnought.
Ah, that's it. Okay.
Yeah, they kind of split up. Yep.
Right. They all look exactly the same, but yeah, you have this dread. The next episode, I think it is. He's kind of figuring out that the Medusan has wiped the diviner's mind. And I'm sure seeing a dreadnought is also helping him kind of things click in his head.
Can you really come back from seeing a Medusan?
Well,
I'm starting to. I'm thinking this whole thing is a little suspicious.
well, we've talked about that it's possible that it depends on the way one's mind is wired, what the effect of seeing a Medusan might be.
He was pretty much a drooling basket case.
He was, but was that kind of an initial shock of this encounter? And as it started to subside, more of his memories were slowly coming to the surface. And what Essentia is doing is just hurrying that process along. And things like him seeing the protostar helps him remember, more about what happened to him.
Different species, different brain wiring,
Yeah.
different plasticity.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
There was a panel in this episode when Jago is trying to ascertain who Dal is, what the makeup of Dal is. And it was interesting because the internet and lots of people in the Star Trek world were saying, oh, well, look, all these things that Dal is made from, a Bajoran, a Breen, a Cardassian, a Ferengi, a Gorn, a Hirogen, a Kazon, an Orion, a Riemann, a Ryzen, Romulan, species.
He's even got Riemann in there.
Species 8472, Suliban.
He's one of those seed people that they had to collect and put together the Toxutot thing together.
So what happened is that I think he wrote this episode. Anyway, one of the people in the production staff said the panel that you see are the things that she's trying to match up to his DNA. And it doesn't mean that he's got all that stuff. It's just that, she calls out a couple of things specifically that seem to be like a positives for what his makeup is, but not everything on that screen. Like one of the symbols looks like a Q, and people saying, well, how did you get that? But it seems like they didn't get that. He doesn't have any Q in him.
No, but he does have Breen, so he can.
Yeah.
This is what he's doing when he's like doing those guttural sounds. He was trying to do his Breen imitation. It was interesting to have this fact that he's got some of these different genes, but apparently the gene immediately transmits the ability to be really good at the thing that species is good at.
Right.
Because he's really good at, leaping in the air and avoiding the Romulan disruptor fire or, laser fire and all this kind of stuff without any training in doing that stuff. I don't think that's really how it works when you have those genes.
No.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, and what did we make of Okona just saying, peace out? I'm leaving.
Oh, well, I thought that was a weird, and I was like, I expected him to come back.
But he didn't.
Yeah, he did. I was like,
no,
wow.
yeah, he's always been kind of a rogue in for himself.
Well, my other question is, why did the Tal Shiar just let him walk away?
Do you know what he reminds me of? One of those little side characters you saw at like at the Renaissance Festival.
He's the mud eater.
The Poop Smith?
Yeah, something. I don't know. Just seems like one of those rogue characters you meet at the Renaissance Festival. That was weird, though. That was weird that he just, all right, see ya.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
especially after as much as he started getting invested with everybody, and really making his way in, and then Dal was getting jealous a little bit, and all of a sudden at that point, all right, see ya.
He demanded a pay raise, so the writers had to adjust.
Yeah,
Well,
we got to get this guy out of here. We don't want to
especially
kill him
after
off.
really they were playing up before he made his appearance. Oh, look, Okona is back and blah 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 blah. Okay, he's in 2 episodes, and the second one is not what I would call a stellar exit
No,
from the episode.
it was like the episode of Simpsons where they had Poochie the dog.
Poochie, yeah, God.
He's like halfway through. Oh, I have to go back to my home planet, and you see the cell get pulled out of the frame.
Right.
Or it's
Oh,
kind
Poochie.
of like he's doing the meme of like Homer Simpson just fading back into the bushes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything else we want to say about this episode? Because this one I don't have as many notes on. I don't
No,
know.
but now I want to see Poochie show up in Prodigy.
Well, that's
We've
different.
successfully tied the Simpsons to the topic of track.
Oh, I did
Hey,
want to note
there you
though.
go.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I see a quote from Poochie. Catch you on the flip side, dude Meisters. Not.
That should have been his exit line, rather
kinda
than
fits in,
now that you
yeah.
two have found each other. Type
I
of
think
thing.
that was actually the same quote that Thaddean said, right?
Hmm.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Um, We've now apparently made it a thing. If you see something that looks like a space elevator, you're gonna do a skydive from it.
Yes, and you have to go dive head first as fast
Yeah.
as possible. I got to go into
Oh,
a
yeah.
tuck. Yep.
That's right.
It started with the drill.
Then we had it on lower decks
Yeah.
not that long ago, and now we've got it here on Prodigy. So if you see something that looks like a sky elevator, you know there's going to be a jump.
Oh yeah.
All right.
and yeah. Anyway, yeah.
All right.
Let's rate this one. Let's move along. We still got 2 episodes to talk about.
All right. So let's
Mhm.
rate this on Tal Shiire red shirts, because apparently they just that's
That's
how
what they
strong the
said?
Tal Shiire is. They can just be taken out by Murph and Dahl.
We're
The
in
entire-
an economic downturn. Okay, they had to make some layoffs, and this is what they got.
I see. The whole
I'll say
yeah.
the entire Star Trek universe is subject to red shirts.
Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess they'd be green shirts if they're Romulans, but
The
that's
Klingons got Alexander.
Yeah. Thank you.
and all Worf got was this lousy T-shirt. Okay, so Craig, what do you rate Masquerade?
I kind of liked it. I thought it was kind of neat that we finally got a little reveal on Dahl, and as we talked about in the last episode, things kind of moved forward a little bit. We saw where Janeway's ready to, pull the trigger if she has to, even though she was reluctant to, but she was going to do it. I gave this a 7.5.
Okay, interesting. I liked the episode. I didn't love the fact that I understand why it happened, but why Dahl was, just because he had the genes didn't mean he was suddenly going to take on the vocabulary and have all the mad skills at fighting. Those are things that if you had those genes, you could train yourself to be better at those type of things. But
Yeah. Do you think
you
a
know-
Klingon baby is going to be born using a batleth?
well,
No, you got to train. You got to
Vulcans have
train.
to go to school. Yeah, Vulcans have
Yeah.
to be trained in logic and controlling their emotions.
yeah, and he was not doing a very good job at controlling his emotions. So
That was the Klingon side sneaking through.
Yeah, I'm gonna rate this one. I think I'm gonna stick with a 7, just like the last episode. I felt like again it was another serviceable episode.
Mhm.
Fair follow up to what we had in the last episode of what they had to do. But it's almost like Dahl getting his answer was kind of rushed.
Mhm.
Again, I felt like with a show that's got 40 episodes minimum, they seem to be rushing
40?
sometimes to get through something.
But they got. Wait a minute. You said that before. You're talking about the 2
Right, because
seasons.
they've got 2
We
seasons.
got season 1 and
right?
season 2. We're
Yeah.
still on season 1.
Mhm.
All right. And what about you, Chuck?
I'm going to agree with you. 7, serviceable. Yeah. And Jellicoe.
Angelico. I don't know if we'll see more of Jellicoe either.
Or also Jellicoe. Angelica.
All right. Next one.
And Toto too. Okay, Craig, this one's for you.
All right. This is
Preludes.
entitled Preludes. Janeway learns the identities of the crew of the Protostar via a bounty placed on the Unwanted by the Diviner, still within the neutral zone. The crew tries to repair the auxiliary warp drives so they can perform a proto jump and evade the USS Dauntless on the way out of the neutral zone. Taking a break from the work, Rock Talk, Jacob, Pog, and Zero all relate their stories about how they ended up on Tars Lamora, excuse me. The tales serve as just to demonstrate to Dahl that everyone has things about their past that are unpleasant. Rock Talk had to play the part of the monster in a staged entertainment. Zero was captured by the Kazon. I don't know why those people bug me whenever I see those
It's
species.
their hair.
Yeah, it's
It's the
definitely there.
hair. It's the hair. While a group of Medusans, while a group of Medusans were there to explore the planet, Jacob
That felt
Pog
very
sacrificed
ET, didn't
himself.
it?
Was that?
That felt
Yeah.
very ET.
Yeah, they're all touching. They're all touching the
They're all
plants.
floating
and, yeah.
around in this happy harmonious, and then most of them take off in the home mothership, and one's left
Peace out.
stranded. Peace
Yeah.
out.
They pulled an Okona.
And Jacob Pog sacrificed himself to save the rest of the Tellarites on a sleeper ship. That was entertaining. That had been sent out before the Federation was formed. And Murph said, something like that. Likewise, aboard the Dauntless, Ascensia, also known as the Vindicator, and her dreadnought tried to clear the coffee table. Try to clear up the diviner's mind by retelling.
It's an IKEA dreadnought. You have to put it together yourself.
Oh,
right.
so we do it wrong.
Why's the arm up here?
It's not dreadnought. It's dreadnought.
It's a missing eye over here. Well,
So they try to clear the diviner's mind by retelling the story of how they all ended up in the Stalin's past. Everybody's telling a story about themselves in this episode. She explains how the Protostar arrived at their homeworld by accident. Oops. How the ship was weaponized and how Chakotay and the other crew member sent the ship back through the wormhole. And here we are. So Vice Admiral Janeway decides to confront the being they rescued on Tars Lamora about the unwanted, considering his daughter is one of them. However, when she surprises Incensia, the diviner does some quick Kirk Fu
Double
Okay,
fist punch.
incapacitate Janeway. Yeah, chop chop.
Yeah.
You can defeat that with a double fist punch.
Well, she was caught by surprise, so she couldn't respond in time.
Yeah.
All right, this was a very entertaining episode and very insightful.
Backstory time. We knew it was
Yeah.
coming.
And it was very surprising that we got all the backstories.
Right.
Again, this idea of feeling rushed, but I felt that the episode moved along at a good pace, and we had some surprises about backstory. One thing we didn't find out is well, how did Rock Talk end up in this entertainment thing? Where were her parents? There's still a mystery about how she ended up there. But we did get to find out the most important question, the answer to the question ever. Why does Jenkin Pog always use his own name?
Yeah.
We found out.
Yes, we did.
Because
that
if
was
he didn't
kinda
use his
funny.
name, the intelligence on the ship would not respond to his queries.
Yeah, he got tired of answering the question, so he just said his name to begin with.
And we really have no idea how long he was doing that. It's one of these things, just like
Yeah.
with
He
Rock
did look
Talk, how
exhausted
long-
at the end. He's like, "Oh, gotta fix that too."
right. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna fix that toilet, and all of a sudden, oh yes, he is.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not.
That was
Jacob,
the
Jacob
worst
Pog's not gonna
AI.
fix that.
That robot was the worst AI. some programmer got an F in comp sci
Yeah,
class for that one.
Really, every single
That's
time
right.
you got to say the name of the person, really, to respond to anything. Who thought of that as a thing? And yeah, to your point, it's the other Medusans left Zero behind. Nobody sensed the Kazons there. Nobody sensed that Zero was in trouble. They all I couldn't tell if they booked it out of there knowing that Zero was in trouble, or whether they just they were leaving anyway, and they just left because they just kind of went.
No.
It didn't do like a head count or a cloud count or whatever one would do with the Medusan. It just seemed a little
Cruel?
strange. Yeah, cruel. Yeah, definitely cruel.
Yeah, I didn't know what the use would be for catching them. Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
We did get to see Zero put into the exact same type of box that is in the original series
Yep,
episode.
I noticed that as well. That box with the slit. I'm curious to know how the Kazon came up with the technology to capture a Medusan. With those cattle prod sticks.
Yeah,
whatever
weren't they in Enterprise kind of technology list? They needed something. They couldn't even get off the planet.
Well, in Voyager, right? I think you said Enterprise.
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah, Voyager. I apologize. Yeah.
Right, and so
I mean, they couldn't really
been
they couldn't get on the planet. They were one of the. Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody might have come along and give them some tech, I suppose.
Here, have these cattle prods. What are they good for? Catching Medusans.
Oh, great.
Don't forget to wear your glasses.
Why? What will happen? Oh, you'll find out. Don't worry about it.
Well,
Ask the diviner.
I guess in all fairness, we did see some Kazon in space on Voyager later on, but it seems like they were one of those races that were kind of stealing everybody's tech, right?
Mm.
Over
We
time.
also got this long backstory, which took up a chunk of the episode, where the Vindicator explains. Now we kind of mostly had pieced this together from things that they had said before.
We didn't know that 100 of them were sent out, though.
Well, we also didn't know how Chakotay ended up there.
Right.
Because he goes through the ship goes through the wormhole and ends up in
He was trying to put the ship in some ice so that it would be safe, but
that's right.
I'm just
if
kidding.
Only he had gotten to a different planet.
Yeah. Oops, miscalculation, sir.
and I wish we had seen. Maybe we will see more of the. I couldn't tell first officer, just another crewman, but the
bird member.
Right,
yeah.
right. I don't know if it's a member of that same race that we saw
as Miggly Moo.
No,
he's behind everything.
Yes, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, "Wow, Miggly Moo's got a relative on the bridge. Good for him." Or the bird race from the.
Well, that's what I was going for from the animated series.
No, I was going for the one from Lower Decks, where the whole planet was bird people.
Oh, right.
Everything is in the sky, like sky snakes. Why did we just say I call them snakes?
That was funny. That was funny.
We need Lower Decks back.
Now
we don't really know who that was, but yeah, that was a rewind moment for me too. I was like, what did I just see? Yep, sure enough.
Yeah. I was noting here that when you start to analyze it, the Valnakat's story is very much like Nero's story from Star Trek 2009. Right? They're now in the past, and Nero's mission is to destroy every planet in the Federation
before they come and destroy him. Yeah, you're right. I picked up on the same thing as soon as they did the time travel back. I went, hey, wait a sec. This is sounding really familiar.
But the thing is that what Nero did wouldn't solve anything as far as, I mean, yeah, you could get rid of the entire Federation. It won't stop things from exploding. The star is still going to go supernova.
Right.
So unless you can also say, hey, everybody has to leave the planet by, X date, and they believe
we got 25 minutes, people. I've been telling you this for 30 years.
You haven't listened over 100 years of
this.
Yeah,
that was my big problem with that movie, is that you're right. He could have gone to Romulus and said, hey, look, this happened before. It's going to happen again. Get lost, get off the planet. Well, I guess it's not that easy, right?
Right.
Hey, believe me, I'm not crazy.
And that reminds me, the peace negotiations with the Romulans, I believe what's going on there, the thing that Jellicoe was talking about in the previous episode, I believe those are negotiations that have to do with the evacuation. So this is kind of like tying into Picard's story in that regard. So that's kind of, I think, because there's an Instagram feed where you're getting Janeway's logs about stuff, and I seem to think that she was saying like Jean-Luc would never forgive me if I went into the neutral zone. So I think that they're tied in that way together.
Mm-hmm.
Although the Romulans seem very intent on still not letting anybody through the neutral zone at this point, because I guess they haven't worked that out yet.
Don't cross this line.
That's right. The neutral line. Don't get on the other side of it.
You don't have all the Paramount Plus content over here.
Right. There's your line.
All right.
Just trying to tie it back. All right, stay with me.
Anyone else with any additional thoughts on Preludes?
Yeah. You can only fight Kirk Fu with Karate.
Right.
Karate.
Boy.
Well, again, you have to be be turned around and facing your enemy. If they're coming at you from behind. Oh, and
I think it's pronounced Karate.
Yeah.
And I hadn't noticed before, because I guess there was no context in which to notice it, but it wasn't this episode. It was I think it was the one before, that the diviner is really tall. Those people are like 7 feet tall.
Yeah, they did seem tall.
He's towering over everybody else in that scene. And essentially it's like holding him. So he's not even standing completely upright, and he's towering over them. So I didn't realize they were that. But like I said, if you're only seeing them or creatures that aren't human, it's like I have no scale to go by here. So that was interesting to note. All right, we're going to rate this on, I'm going to say 1 to 10 flashbacks, because we got lots and lots of flashbacks.
Flashbacks.
So Chuck, you start us off. 1 to 10 flashbacks, Preludes.
I like this from the origin stories. You're right, there were still some gaps that needed filling in. I'm going to give it 8 flashbacks. I thought it had some substance that really filled in. It's well into season 1. I thought we were going to get them, kind of piecemeal. It's like in this episode, we find out what Rock Talk's backstory is. Nope, we got it full on.
Mm-hmm.
Then there were some humorous moments as well. So I liked this one. I'll give it 8.
Yeah, I liked it as well. I'm trying to think. So I'm going to go between 7.5 and 8. Yeah, I'm going to go 8 on it as well. I liked it for the same reasons that that Chuck was talking about. I also did not expect to have it all together, but I felt like it worked. The stories were short,
right,
and you get the gist of what the issue was. The one that I felt the most rushed was the explanation about Chakotay coming back through the wormhole and all that stuff.
I agree.
Very easy to kind of get lost.
I still think they're kind of saving that. Yeah, I think they're saving that a little bit. Some of that.
Yeah, you're right. I think we'll get more about that later on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what about you, Craig?
I'm also going to give it an 8 for the same reasons you guys said. I'm not going to repeat everything. I thought it was good. I like the backstories, especially Jacobs. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel this pain.
For not being allowed to time travel, they sure are, loosey goosey with sending things through wormholes into the past and whatnot.
Well, it was an accident. Although I guess on Chakotay's part, he did it on purpose to send the protostar back.
Right.
But they got there by accident. I don't think they were intending to go into the future.
I'm saying Star Trek in general.
Oh yeah, well, that was that edict that Gene didn't want time travel, and then it's like
temporal accord, temporal schmaccord, whatever.
Yeah, where are those guys? Do they do any good?
After all they went through on Voyager, you think they'd be like, "Oh, we're back to Earth. I'm not leaving this place."
That's right.
Yeah. Stand put.
I don't want to take any chances.
Not leaving my bedroom.
Yes.
Well, he attached a really, really long string to the protostar before he left.
I'll be able to find my way back. Sorry.
Dropping crumbs. Hansel and Gretel in space. Great.
All right. And our last episode is Ghost in the Machine. The protostar crew is using the holodeck to figure out a way to leave the neutral zone while evading the Romulans and the Dauntless. But every attempt fails, and they begin to lose hope that they can ever join Starfleet. The group bonds over some ice cream, then split up to get some rest. That's when strange things start happening aboard the ship. Strange music and random holodeck characters roaming the corridors. Then the crew finds themselves in a mystery-solving simulation that Zero has used. She suggests that they never left the holodeck. Hologram Janeway reports that a disruption in subspace could be interfering with the ship's functions. She will attempt to correct it so they are trapped inside the holodeck. Everyone decides to make the most of the situation and play Zero's Cellar Door Society program. Everyone except Jankum Pog, that is. Zero points out that if they solve the scenario's mystery, the exit arch should appear. But each clue leads to a more complex puzzle and a deeper merging of everyone's individual recreational holodeck programs. And the safety protocols have been disabled.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dal gives Hologram Janeway
That never
his command
happens.
code. Yeah, no, never, ever. Dal gives Hologram Janeway his command code so she can work on higher level functions on the ship and work to reestablish the safety protocols. Slowly, Zero begins to suspect there is a purpose to all of this, eventually realizing that the never-ending clues are a ruse to keep the crew on the holodeck. They surmise that they can only escape by refusing to play.
The only way to
War
win the
games.
game is not to play at all. Right, war
Exactly.
game.
That's right. That's
When the
right.
scenario ends, Hologram Janeway enters. Zero reasons that unknowingly Janeway has been manipulated by the ship's core directive to reach Starfleet. Janeway has used Dal's command codes to set the protostar on a path towards Earth. The ship leaves the neutral zone and comes face to face with the Dauntless. And my first question is,
Dauntless.
they've come face to face with the protostar. Has anyone tried to contact Janeway when this is going on? And presumably they can't get in touch with her? Because we don't get a follow-up to what's happening to Janeway.
Right. She got Kirk food.
Which
and
one?
The Admiral, Vice Admiral.
Yeah, Vice Admiral Janeway.
The real one. Okay.
Right. So we don't see her at all this entire episode. And you get to the point where the two ships. So I'm guessing that's
She's
part of
not
the
in
exit
command.
plan. Right. So she's not in command. And I think,
So
well,
who's firing and why? Because certainly the Diviner would not be firing on the Protostar. He wants that ship to get to Earth to make contact or whatever.
right. Well, here's a scenario. Here's a possibility. Since we know that the Vindicator can morph, does she morph into Janeway? And
I hadn't
Janeway
thought of that. I
says,
thought it was it was either Vindicator or Essentia, but you're right. Maybe.
Or maybe morph into Murph.
Or turn into a coffee table.
a morph.
Yeah, that's right.
Morph into a coffee table.
So because I'm trying to figure out, surely at this point, they would be, if the captain wasn't on the bridge, they would be, summoning the captain to the bridge at this point.
Shape of a bucket of water.
Yeah,
Not the Wonder Twins.
that's right. Form of an eagle.
We do get to find out that Murph can sing, or as Zero says, is really, really good at lip syncing.
Yeah,
That part
right.
cracked me up.
Yeah.
I
Watch out, Vic Fontaine.
Fly me to the moon.
I was hoping that the piano would be the same one that we saw that Odo was playing in the episode.
Yeah.
He was playing the piano, but that one has a giant nameplate in the middle above the keyboard that says Mentor, and there's no such nameplate on that piano. I thought, missed
You
opportunity
looked.
there.
Yeah, it'd
And
be
then they all
cool since
jumped
it was.
inside the piano. And like we jumped inside the piano. Why?
It's string theory. See this?
Oh, but wait, where is
It
it?
becomes
Hold on.
spaghettified.
This-
String.
Think you'll be here all week.
Yeah.
Tip your waiter.
I noticed
Tip your server.
one weird thing in, we'll call it mock Vic Fontaine's, although it was what the key, what was the name of the club?
The Key Club.
The key, the key club. Of
Mhm.
course it was. That
I was like, what are you
They're-
asking? Okay.
they're searching all the tables. Now they're in black and white mode,
Yes.
Yes.
I thought that was fun.
which I'm sure all the young people watching the show are going to be really into. But so they're going table to table, and they get to a table where one of the various Dr. Noones is, because he's like every single character in this thing. he's got a briefcase on the table. Now they open up the briefcase and there's gold plus platinum inside. They slam it down. But that shot is so fast that if you didn't know what it was already, you couldn't tell. And if you don't know what it is, there's no clue because it's in black and white. You don't get to see that the thing is gold.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's going to be completely baffling to anyone that doesn't know what gold plus platinum looks like. Because it was just like open, close.
Is this a briefcase full of decks of cards? What is it?
Yeah, right.
Got some bricks in there. I don't know what's
Clay?
going on with that.
Got some clay in there.
Yeah, it's a bunch of flattened dreidels. I don't know what's happening in there. I don't know.
Right.
I hate that counterfeit dreidel salesman.
Right.
But I happened to tweet to the Hageman brothers that they used a Trek trope this week because it's, I feel like it's a rite of passage now on Trek to have a holodeck accident. And so this crew is now experienced, although technically it wasn't, yet it was. I mean, the ship.
It was outside forces that were acting on that holodeck. So I don't know if I would really say falls into the trope like we know, because
Well, I mean, it was
Holo Janeway was screwing with it.
Yeah, it was a holodeck accident, but on purpose, if that makes any sense. Because Janeway had everybody trapped in there, and so we have this. The name of the episode being "Ghost in the Machine" would make would lead one to believe, since it's called "Ghost in the Machine," which is a reference to like artificial. One of the definitions, artificial intelligence kind of hiding inside of something else. So I don't know whether that's implying that Janeway is kind of being rendered almost inoperable because she can clearly be compromised by the AI overriding what her intentions are. Like her intentions were not to trap the crew in there and set a course for Earth, but the ship took over, or the construct took over and just had her do it anyway. I then also thought that up until this point, I was thinking, okay, every single human or adult had let the kids down or had a bad interaction with, except for hologram Janeway, and they just had that rug pulled out from underneath them.
Yep.
I thought, well, that's kind of crappy. That they have no one. Chuck keeps popping in and out of this episode. His internet is clearly being run by a.
He's switching between timelines.
Oh, that's right. He's crossed into the neutral line.
Yeah, that's right.
So, what was I saying in this episode? What my thought was at that point? I can't recall what it was. It was very profound, but I can't.
Yeah, I'm sure it was deep.
It was really, really deep. Really, really deep. But just as I'm watching the screen as well, and all of a sudden, Chuck's screen starts to go dark, and then he just kind of walks on out.
Disappears. Man, doesn't he know we had a show to do?
I guess so. I did have a couple of lines I thought were interesting in here. One of them was, Dahl says, "Did we just get a music soundtrack?" And it was odd in the episode because the first time he notices that there's music playing that he can't stop it, I was kind of thrown by that because he hadn't asked for it. And to me, it was just background music in the episode. So it seemed very odd for him to call out to end the music, almost like breaking the fourth wall, because, well, that's just more of the soundtrack playing. And we find out that, well, no, that's coming through the speakers on the ship. And they do try to, listening more closely, they try to have a more of coming over a speakers type of sound to a little bit of echoey and kind of tinny type of thing. But the first time through, I'm going, what? No, that's really, okay. That's just breaking the fourth wall altogether for that one.
Yeah.
All right. We need to keep pressing on. So we'll leave Chuck for last year to be able to rejoin us for his voting, but let's do our voting. I'm going to say this is on 1 to 10 singing Murphs.
Oh, singing Murphs. Okay.
So I will begin with you, Craig.
All right. I did kind of like this episode, especially when they were, as we mentioned earlier, bonding over the ice cream and stuff, and you can see they're really becoming even more so a team. I
Mhm.
mean, we're starting to see that. We've been seeing that for episodes, but excuse me, they're getting closer and closer. So, I like these. I like holodeck stories a little bit. Although it wasn't the whole thing wasn't holodeck, but I do like holodeck stories. Um, if they're done well, and I thought this was pretty good. So I'm gonna give this an 8.
All right. I'm going to go a little bit higher on this one because I'm going to give it an 8.5.
No, I'm going 9 then. I'm
Oh,
kidding.
I'm going 9.5. When it gets to
No,
11, we got to stop. I'm just
I'm
letting you
going to
know.
11.
Ugh, that's the highest you can go, so I can't do anything
Yeah.
about that. Um, I One of the things I liked about the episode is that you have this very long sequence of points where Zero is figuring out what's going on, and kind of that Sherlock Holmes type of way
Hmm.
that we would see in a TNG episode. So she figures out,
Yeah.
well, we're really still on the holodeck, and
Yeah.
we solved this puzzle, but wait a minute, we're solving that puzzle, but there's another puzzle. Why is everything merging together? And she's just slowly, they're just slowly piecing this all together, and then you get that very much a murder mystery type of,
Yeah.
here's the big reveal of what actually happened, and we can actually look at the playback and you can see what happened to Janeway at that point. So I liked the fact that it it showed problem solving, because some of the things you always have to keep in mind is this is, although clearly a lot of it is for adults, but it's designed for younger people to have an entry into the Star Trek
Yeah. Sometimes we
universe,
kind of forget that a little bit.
right?
Yeah.
Because the stories get a little dark. Like one of the things I forgot to mention, the episode where they're on Noble Isle, is
Hmm.
when Rock Talk says to Gwen, "Put away your weapon," because she figured out that the lightning is going to strike that long weapon that the
Yeah.
Tal Shiar have, and you just
Yep.
see this pile of stuff pass by them on the elevator that used to be that Tal Shiar, person, just like this puddle of
Yeah.
armor. Just
Yeah.
so there are very much adult things in here, but this kind of episode one introduced again the meme of the trope of the holodeck and possible accidents that can happen on it, but also this idea of problem solving and how to logically kind of figure out what has happened, and they doled it out, I think, nicely over the course of the episode, and not just all at the end
Hmm.
type of thing.
Yeah.
So Chuck,
I
to get
think
you back,
I'm gonna.
no, go
I
ahead.
think I'm gonna revise my rating. I'm gonna say 8.5 because you're right. This is a good episode for a lot of the reasons you just laid out there. So I'm gonna bump it up a half a point.
Okay, so Chuck, Craig and I have both rated it an 8.5 of the 8.5
Singing
singing
Murphs.
Murphs.
Yes, that was worth some points right there. They won.
Yeah.
And like you said, it certainly turned an important corner in that Janeway
Mhm.
wanted the ship to get back to Federation space. Hey, you guys are Starfleet material. We should get you to Earth. Whether willingly or unwillingly, or someone hacked her subroutine. I mean, I have a note in my notes from this one that said someone hacked Janeway. Uh, so it was definitely a great turning point. I like you said, I did catch the part where you said they reasoned their way out of the holodeck. The best way is not to play, and I like that one as well. I'm going to go with an 8.5 as well.
All right, very good. I think this is the first time we've agreed on every single episode that we've reviewed. I think.
Did we do 3 for
Really?
3? All 3 of us got the same rating on all 3.
All four?
All
four
4
episodes.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
well,
deserves
I'm gonna change
something.
mine to 8.25.
Exactly,
No, we can't have
Eric.
that.
It's hard to believe. All right, well, quickly, let's do a warp speed roundtable because we are running really long. No big surprise because we had so much to cover.
Yep.
Very quick warp speed roundtable question: Do you think we've seen the last of Okona? Do you think
No.
that bizarre exit was his exit?
Nope.
No,
No.
no,
Nope.
he'll be around in the Renaissance Festival in next November.
Huzzah! Have a turkey leg.
Huzzah!
Refills
Right.
$14 on the big stein of beer.
Go to the Charlotte Convention Center. Yeah. I don't think I have a feeling he's coming back. He's coming back.
Yeah, to redeem himself, even in the slightest, from that exit. All right, well, it's about time to refill the dilithium chamber and warp on out of here. You can find me, Clinton, over at Comedy Forecast, all one word with the number 4.com, as well as on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And I'm delving into Mastodon and Hive and all those things that may come after a certain one of those services.
And MySpace and
Yeah, Friendster, all that kind of. Although apparently Friendster Friendster is back, but it seems like it's a bot thing, and you don't want to be involved with that. It's like don't do a Friendster invite if somebody sends you out one. All right, who speaks for you guys this week?
All right, I'll do it because Chuck's been in and out. He's not reliable tonight.
Absolutely not.
Anyway, so you can find Chuck and I on the Technorama podcast. Just search for Technorama podcast on Google, and you will find us because we have our show posted about everywhere. So you can find us. We record on Sunday nights at 9:30.
All right. And thank you to listener Diane for contributing.
Absolutely.
We didn't get all of your comments up on there, but we've noted them all. Sometimes I look up so long after you've made the comment that I can't remember what the comment was.
That was about the Medusans leaving and leaving one child behind.
That
was a Home Alone reference.
Very good.
So Zero's real name is Kevin.
I did not know that. Things you learn.
Oh, I was thinking of the movie Up. You know, Kevin.
Minions.
The bird.
Okay. The bird. Kevin. All right.
Okay. Time to hit the theme, boys.
First one.
If you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend about it and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter at The Topic is Trek, visit our Facebook page, or visit thetopicistrek.com. Until next time, on behalf of Chuck, Craig, and myself, I'm Clinton, thanking you for listening. And as we always see here on The Topic is Trek, don't put on the red
shirt, Craig.
Shirt.
Yeah, we told you, Craig.
Wait. I'll take it off. I'll just take the red shirt off.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal.
Michigan J Frog. That would have been funny. Craig, you've got some latency going on right now. You're kind of pixelated and we're really lagging.
But he's still here. He's still here.
Yeah. When
you
did Don't Put on the Red Shirt, you were way behind. I rebooted this.
No, I did that on purpose. No. I was doing that on purpose.
I see. Okay. Because when we said don't put on the red shirt, it was like 5 seconds later you're looking at your shirt.
I know. Yeah.
So
that was just me.
We need to end the broadcast.
End the broadcast. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let me find my cursor.